guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be building the habitat for the Siberian tiger. We have now worked our way through the alphabet to the letter S, and we are working our way through the letter S now because there's quite a lot of animals for the letter S. So we will be building this habitat, and essentially I decided that I wanted to build a big cat house. I was going to put the snow leopard and the Siberian tiger definitely next to each other rather than like opposite each other, because they're next to each other in the Zoopedia. And I sort of kind of, put aside this little bit of path here for the habitat to decide that this would be kind of the indoor area, and I would build the building around the path when I did a little bit of planning the other week, because I just wanted to try and lay out the path, see like how much space I'm going to have, how much space I'm going to have for potentially new species that I may want to add to the zoo in the future with new DLC and things like that. So essentially that's kind of like why I did a little bit more planning than I usually do for this zoo. So yeah, obviously we've had a bit of a detour with the proboscis monkey and the other ones, but now we're back to the letter S, and the next two habitats will be within that theme. So this is part one of two videos that is building kind of the same building. So this is my big cat house, or as it'll be known when it's finished, which is the big cat palace, because it essentially turns it into a palace. So I also realized I don't do a lot of building with the India pieces. I don't know why, I just guess I never really have an excuse to use them. So I decided that I hadn't used them much really for Alphabet Zoo, and that it was time to change that. And so I decided I wanted to build a building out of the India pieces. I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't realize it was going to be a palace when I started building it. I just, kind of just went with it. Just as it developed, just went with it, and actually quite kind of liked how it turned out. So it's quite interesting really, because often people associate like the Bengal tiger more with the kind of like India theme, and often the Siberian tiger is put in with like the Arctic or the kind of tundra or the tiger kind of theme, or maybe the Asian theme instead. But I actually figured this kind of really worked, and I really liked how it turned out. So I just think it kind of is a bit more of a contrast, because like to kind of like the Bengal tigers. So yeah, I really did like how this turned out. There was a lot of like custom fences and stuff in this one as well, as always, and it was just a relatively straightforward build and kind of based off something I have built before, but I decided that I would take it a little bit further and just see what I could do with it really. Like Siberian tigers are one of my favourite animals out there, often known as the Amur tiger, of course. In fact, I can remember when I was younger, we used to go to South Lakes Wild Animal Park, which I'm pretty sure doesn't exist anymore due to the fact that I think like the tigers ate people quite regularly there, or they like escaped and there was just really bad practice. But when I was little, we used to go camping in the South Lakes up in Cumbria, and essentially we would visit South Lakes Wild Animal Park, and the reason we liked it was because they would put like chickens and things like that on like poles for the like tigers and lions to jump up and get. So it was really cool, because at feeding time you would see like the animals doing a lot, whereas I think back in the day you didn't really get that quite so much. Like a lot of the time feeding time would just be just throw a bit of meat in and leave them to it, whereas this they actually made the tigers kind of jump and work for their food, which was really kind of nice to see and always really exciting if you went as like a guest. So yeah, they had I think 4 Amur tigers there, but I'm pretty sure the park has actually closed down now. But anyway, when we were there, I actually adopted 3 tigers, I think it was. I got them once for my birthday. I think their names were Gogang, Maya, and Tessie. So yeah, it was a zoo that did a lot of conservation stuff as well. It is kind of a shame that it's gone, but at the same time, like we hadn't been in years when it closed down, and there'd been like a lot of kind of information that had been saying that it was probably a good thing it had been closed down. But yeah, so that's kind of also where I get this kind of fence that I built kind of is inspired from, is actually from that zoo. So they have like this they had this wooden like walkway, and on the walkway they would have like a little wooden fence with a bit of glass, and then like a some more wood on the top, and then like just these anti-climb stuff, I guess. So I tried to recreate that here a little bit, because like, it's from my memory, and it's from the memory of a kid, so it's probably not very accurate, but I just actually really liked how it kind of turned out, to be honest, and I just think it kind of goes with the kind of modern theme that we've got going on with other parts of the zoo, but also goes with like the theming of this particular habitat. So it is quite a good mix, I think, really. So yeah, with this one as well, as I said, it's in two parts. So the next habitat is going to be the snow leopard habitat, which I struggled with, to be honest, because obviously I built the whole thing now, but I did struggle building the snow leopard habitat, and I think sometimes, you know, it's just trying to find that extra bit of inspiration, really. And particularly when I'd just built the proboscis monkey bridge, I was feeling a little bit like, oh, right, okay, well, I've just been really creative, what else am I going to do now? But yeah, so with some of the developments as well, I could use actually some opinion, because I am going to be moving the cassowary to its correct place in Alphabet Zoo, and I'm actually going to be replacing it with either the caiman or the clouded leopard. Now, I don't know what I should replace it with, to be honest. I'm in two minds about it. So if you have an opinion on what you would like to see in Alphabet Zoo, if you would like to see the caiman more than the snow leopard, or if you want to see what I'd build for a snow leopard habitat, then please just let me know in the comments below, and I'll take that into consideration when I make the decision in a week or two time, because that's probably how long it's going to take me to actually get there, because I've got to rebuild the cassowary habitat as well, which I'm actually keeping some of the buildings from the cassowary habitat and not changing it too much, just because you know, I did a lot of work for the cassowary habitat at the time, and I want to keep that because I really liked how it turned out, so I'm just gonna maybe mold it a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I think the India pieces actually are so like underrated. Like, I love all these arches and pillars that we get. They are really fun to build with, and we don't really get like those fancy arches with any of the other kind of themes, really. Like, I really enjoy just, you know, the fact that they blend in really nicely with like the actual stonework and look like they're supposed to be part of it, which is just something that I do really like about the India pieces, and I like building Indian kind of themed temples, I guess. So, you know, it's just one of those things, really, that I just don't use enough and should probably use more. But yeah, are there any pieces that you think you use more than the other pieces? Because I could definitely say that I tend to use the Asia and New World pieces more than any other pieces in the game. Maybe some of the Australia pieces as well, since we've had the Australia pack, but yeah, I definitely don't use the India pieces enough. So this is kind of what this habitat is. It's just, you know, showing off kind of the India style like buildings and the India style like architecture that, you know, the game does provide. And I should probably do some more research in the future. In fact, I maybe like might build like an Indian zoo at some point, or maybe incorporate it into DLC zoo as well, because I don't think these pieces get enough love, and I think, you know, it should be good to kind of just, you know, mix it up a bit more, because I think that's part of the problem. I get like tunnel vision, you know, I get like creative block where I use the same pieces all the time. So how on earth can I be more creative if I'm using the same pieces all the time? So I should probably, you know, venture out and try more with different things. But yeah, often, you know, as you can see here, I'm literally just covering up the path that's sticking through the wall, because sometimes it does that, just with like the decorations and just, you know, going with it like that. So that's a handy tip if you're like building a building around the path, and then the path like shines through or shows through the wall. Always just, you know, cover it up. As with everything, if you don't like it, just cover it up. That's the best solution with this game. Anyway, as this is a habitat for tigers, and particularly like the Siberian tigers, because I mean they're the largest tiger in the world, and there's actually not too many zoos in the UK that actually have Siberian tigers because of their size. I think Longleat is one of the ones I can think of off the top of my head that specifically has Amur tigers. I know for a fact that Chester Zoo's tigers are Sumatran tigers because they're the smaller tiger species. So with this habitat, I felt like I should kind of reflect that and have the habitat a lot bigger than the Bengal tiger habitat, because Siberian tigers are just that much bigger. They have a lot bigger territories and things like that. So yeah, I think it was important to actually have that kind of represented in this. Also, I don't know if anybody has actually seen Britain's Tiger Kings yet. I mean, I've seen Tiger King on Netflix. That was kind of shocking, to be honest. Like, it's amazing. You don't really think about, like, you know, because I mean, it was like people having pets, like lions and tigers as pets was, I think, a big thing in the 80s. I mean, I'm only 24, so I wasn't alive then, so I can't confirm that. But I mean, from my understanding, like, there were a lot of people who had just like exotic pets. It was like quite a popular kind of trade, really, and people had quite exotic pets such as lions and tigers, and that's part of the reason why zoos sort of became more of a sanctuary kind of side of it and focus on conservation as opposed to like just, you know, showing off zoos, because I mean, zoos used to be so much different to what they are now. Particularly when I think of places like Dudley Zoo, for example, which, you know, they're like, they still have the original kind of tiger pit, as it were, that the animals are in, and it is quite small. I know that they're desperately trying to raise money and get the funds to increase the sizes of it, and once their tigers don't exist anymore, they will probably like not have tigers again. But it's just, you know, it's just one of those things, I guess. Like, you know, a lot of zoos just don't really have the space anymore, and, you know, a lot of them are downsizing, which is good, really. But yeah, so speaking of zoos, we had a fun experience the other week, actually, feeding penguins. I don't know if I mentioned it in my last video, but essentially we went on holiday just for a week away, just to the Peak District, which is actually where I am kind of from originally. So we were kind of hiking around like places that I'd hiked when I was younger, and it was really nice to like revisit some of those places. And my partner hadn't seen those before, because he's not actually from around kind of that area. He's from sort of like a lot further south, like the Midlands. So it was just really, really nice to be able to go for walks and things and just get out a bit now that, you know, the COVID restrictions are sort of relaxing a bit. But yeah, so we went to Peak Wildlife Park and we booked a penguin feeding experience, which was super, super fun. And like, honestly, one of the things I found is if you can do like animal experiences with like the little zoos, like if you go to places like Chester Zoo or like that tiger park and tiger sanctuary down in Kent, it's so expensive. But the little zoos are usually very, very grateful for you to like be booking experiences with them, because I mean, like for example, I think our experience was £150 for both of us to feed penguins, and like it cost like Peak Wildlife Park something like £15 per penguin to feed them for the day. So, you know, we just fed like 10 penguins just by visiting it, essentially. So it's really good to try and do experiences if you can, if you want to support like zoos, and particularly after like the effects of COVID. But yeah, so, and again, I often find that like smaller zoos do really, really good like animal experiences too. So if you're ever interested in feeding penguins or something like that, I'd check out like your smaller local zoos, because they usually have stuff going on. We actually went to a garden centre today, and weirdly enough, like we're kind of new to the area where we're living, and we decided we'd go to this garden centre thinking, oh, it's a bit different from the one we went to before, because we went to one ages ago, and we ended up like finding out that they had like a whole falconry centre, so we spent the day looking at like birds of prey and stuff, which is kind of cool. It's currently raining now, so I'm glad we got out before it chucked it down. But yeah, we're sort of come to the end of this habitat now, or this part of the habitat, so I will leave you with the cinematics of the tigers wandering around, and I will catch you in the next one, which will be part 2 of the Big Cat Palace. So I'll see you then, guys, and take care.